Good morning from London News. The morning after the night before. Well, last night we had a great chat with John Smith in Scotland in relation to the progress of the common law courts in the UK and, of course, in New Zealand and in Australia. Anyway, John will explain everything to you. Before we go any further, let's hop over and have a chat with our friends from New Zealand and, of course, Victoria, New South Wales. And we had a visitor from Cyprus came in at the last moment last night, and we have a chappie from Queensland there as well. Okay, let's go and have a look. Thanks for watching. London News, good evening to the UK, New Zealand, and I'd like to welcome, of course, John. He's going to explain what's actually happening in the UK. They've gone through a week of training in their new premises, which John, I'm sure, will be willing to tell us and explain exactly what's happening. Over to you, John, in the UK, and good morning.
Oh, good morning here, good evening there. So welcome to everyone, thanks for joining. We're just passing on some brief information for you. The Common Law Court has moved into premises just now in the UK, and given obviously the difficulties we've been having with numbers and coping with obviously emails and orders, we've had to take on additional staff. Now, we've taken on staff just now who are working with us, all giving up time to come in. We're training these people. And over the last week or so, they've been doing quite a lot of training and been dealing with the issues at hand. As from this coming Monday, we'll be in the position now with the staffing we have just now to seriously tackle the backlog that we have. And we're hoping in 2 to 3 weeks to be clear fully of the backlog, which means that in the coming weeks on the future, when you're using the Common Law Court site, regardless of what it's for, whether it's emails or orders or anything else, it will be addressed within a 48-hour period maximum. We have the staff to do that, which is great. That's allowing us to move forward, but we've had to rely on quite a few people who support what we're doing. It's just to assist. We've moved into premises just now. We have a deal done, and we have other issues that we're dealing with as well, which will help to assist the work that the Common Law Court's doing. We'll explain over the coming weeks and months what's going to be happening, but we are going to spend quite a considerable time dealing with the media aspects, training issues, and helping to convene courts, which obviously we'll be doing shortly over in Australia and hopefully New Zealand as well. There are some other people who will be joining from Scandinavian countries. This is joining with what we're doing just now, and we hope to set up international Zoom meetings in the coming weeks, which you'll have access to. The information that's going on will be relayed to you. The training materials will be put up on the website, so you can actually get the instruction. And again, we'll put up everything we can. We're hoping also to develop, which we've said, the media side that will allow you to actually take part in this individually. The forum will be set up, although we have it, it's not functioning correctly. It will be in place and operating correctly in the coming weeks as well through the media side and the court cases. So things are looking upwards, and we are moving forward just now, and I think it's quite good, not only for what we're doing here, but throughout the world. So if you bear with us in the next couple of weeks, you should see quite a big change, and we'll keep you updated with information as it comes out.
Hi, John. Just wanted to ask, when you're registering a company, you were talking about registering company previously. Was that registered through the statute system and then onto the Common Law Court, or did you just register your new CLC with just the...
We don't actually have anything to do with their system. Their system is broken. Why would you actually use something that doesn't work properly? What's the point? You're going into the system, you're signing into their system, it doesn't work, it's broken. You're then applicable to their rules, so you have to comply with their rules, and also you comply with tax issues as well. Why would you do that? So what we do under common law is we deal with common law issues, we deal with men and women, and in relation to companies, many men and women will want to conduct business. Now, while common law, we don't deal with corporations, because it's all about living men and women, we have to offer the facility or to assist men and women who wish to conduct business, as many do. So what we do is we allow this on the site. If you register or you go through the company category under the deeds heading, what you will do is sign up as the responsible individual. Now, as a responsible individual, say it could be myself, I would declare to the people that I wish to conduct business under common law. So therefore, as the responsible individual, the company goes under my name. So I am responsible. However, what we then ask is we ask for the trading name for the company. So therefore, you're then allowed to give the trading name. Now, if you currently operate within the statutory system, you can actually use that name under common law as well. So what you do is you can keep the name or you can change the name. You put in some details about the business, the type of business you have and where it's based. And other than that, that's it. So you sign off, and when you've signed off, you're then given a company registration number with the common law court, and you're then listed on the site under common law. But the trading name for the company would be listed, but you're also listed as the individual, the responsible individual for the company. That's the way it works. Now, when you do that, you trade under common law. It does two things. First of all, is you don't pay taxes, or I would say if you don't wish to, you don't have to. If you believe that you wish to pay taxes, you're entitled to do what you want. But if you continue to pay taxes, this is to the state system because you have a company there. Once you start making the payments, you've then committed to a contract. So you have to continue with taxes. If you set up the common law court company and say, well, no, I'm now operating under common law, you then close the company in the statutory system. You close it off and say, right, I'm now finished. If you wanted, there may be benefits to keeping the company alive in the state system. For example, it could help you with a bank account. You can actually keep the state's company alive, but what I would suggest doing is the only money that goes in would be the money to cover the bills. So you can cover your bills through the state company. However, everything else goes in under the common law company, under common law, which means it's under your control, and it means it's not eligible. You're not eligible for tax if you don't wish to pay it.
So is there a different banking system? So you're saying, do you have to have two bank accounts? Is that what you're saying?
No. Basically, what happens is if you operate under their system, it says they won't allow you to operate a company unless you have a bank account for the company, and they obviously monitor them because of money laundering. They'll check the money. Under common law, you can use any account you want. You can keep the money in a shoebox if you want. It doesn't matter. But obviously, for ease of access, if you deal with other parties and they are within the statutory system, they will want to deal with a statutory company. If you take over a lease for something, or you have a contractual agreement with the statutory system, they will want a statutory company. They may not like the common law company, so it's fine. So you can keep the statutory company for contractual purposes. You also have a bank for the statutory company. So what to do is leave the account open, but just put money in only to cover the bills. So if you put money in to cover the bills, the statutory company has no profit. Therefore, you don't pay tax, even the statutory company. Anything else that comes in goes to the common law court company because that's the main company. And if the money goes to the common law court company, you don't pay tax on it. So therefore, it says you have a company operating, so you get the benefits through having a bank account in the statutory system. You can obviously contract with parties in the statutory system, but the company effectively is a non-profit company because you have no profits. So the money goes into the statutory account to cover the bills. Is if you have any additional profit, that is for the common law company. So that is put into the common law court company. And then if it goes in there, it's got nothing to do with the other company. It's just which means you're not paying tax.
So that obviously would not have any GST attached to it. You can't charge GST.
GST, I don't know what that is in the UK. Is that
VAT.
VAT, yeah. Well, no. In the statutory company, if you're registered for VAT, you would obviously continue that, but it depends on what you're doing by way of a business operation. The common law court doesn't do that because there's no tax involved at all. So you don't do that. You don't pay tax and you don't charge tax. It's common law. If you have, depending on what your business is, depending on what you're doing with the statutory company, if you were registered previously, you can still say registered. You can actually take it away. It's how it benefits yourself. If it's beneficial to do it. You don't have to. It's up to yourself. But bearing in mind, if you keep the statutory company alive, you have to comply with their rules. So basically, you have to comply to trade within their rules. But basically, it's like a non-trade, a non-profit entity. You keep it to a bare minimum, and the bulk of everything goes through the common law court. Okay.
John, would it be fair to say that because of this, well, I call it the BS situation we find ourselves in with social distance, you've been severely restricted by not able to hold courts in the UK? Have you got court cases coming up, and is this interfering with your progress?
We have paperwork going on. I've spoken about it before. This is like a week ago, a couple of weeks ago. We have paperwork just now. The court cases, we've got quite a few of them pending that people want to go. The reason we haven't actually convened them in the UK just now is we're looking at the enforcement. It's okay holding cases, but it's no point in having case after case if you can't enforce them. We're actually at the enforcement stage. Now, we've done quite a lot of preparation and work, and believe it or not, we actually have a job description for enforcement constables. Not only that, we have set up and established a 2-day training course. So what we're in the process of doing is when people go to train, they will actually have a 2-day course, and only after successfully coming through the training will then be appointed constables and given a uniform. So that requires funding, which we're looking at and we can cope with. We're looking at obviously the training issues just now because we'll have to have them in some areas. Now, we've got premises available for training, but again, it's not something we're going to charge people for. So we're looking at funding for overnight stays and things like this. So it is actually pending just now. And the aim is within the next couple of months to actually kickstart this and to have quite large numbers of constables set up. Now, with what we're doing just now, we've got loads and loads of people want to come. We've got excess over 1,000 people want to come forward. Now, that happens to be the large number we got initially, which, believe it or not, from ex-police and ex-military. They're dying to get involved because of the failings with the state and because of what the state are doing to the people. These people have key areas. They've dealt with these issues before. They'd love to help out. Now, in addition to that, we have many members of the public who would be suitable to do this as well, and they are stepping forward as well. So we're going to hold these, and we can train them in groups of 25 or 30. So we'll hold maybe 3 or 4 sessions, and we'll get the first 100 up and running, and then we'll continue. We'll just run these out. Now, with that, we're then looking at the enforcement with what we have. But meantime, instead of convening the courts, what we're also doing is we're attacking their existing courts. Now, I'm saying courts, they're not courts, they're places of business. But basically what we're doing is we're attacking their courts. So we have paperwork just now. We put in some last week. We've got 6 or 7 cases going in this week, and we're going to be attacking various issues. So we're putting in, so we're coming to a head, we're taking them on. It's surprising because they don't want to allow us into their courts. We've put in paperwork just now. They will not let us go anywhere near the courts, because they cannot answer one thing in the paperwork we submit. They will lose. They know that, and it will expose what they're doing. So they will not allow us in, and they've actually closed this down. We've had guys had hearings adjourned 4 times, and they won't let us anywhere near the court. However, what we're doing now, because when we go to court, we seem to be on the defensive because we're protecting someone that's been dragged into court. This time we're not. Instead of going on the defensive side, we're actually going to all-out attack. So we're actually taking a case out against them. Now, bearing in mind, when we take out a case against them, we're not using their system. All we're doing is putting a claim in, a financial claim for a large payout. Now, all they're required to do is make sure that we're paid. Because after we put the paperwork in, we're informing them, the courts, the place of business, that as registered companies, the only thing that they're to do is to comply with our request, our requirement to obtain money. So they're there in position to make sure that this happens. They're there as a service provider and a registered company. They're not a court of law. They have no authority. We have no contract with them. So we put in the required form saying, this is what we require. You have to enforce it and leave it. And if they fail to do so, we'll then deal with them as well. But obviously that's happening. We can go through, obviously, Parliament as well, and we can go through our enforcement team as well. But this is the next step, and all these things on the pipeline. So in the matter of the coming weeks, the next 2, 4, 6 weeks, there'll be many, many cases going in just now to the existing system. With the letters we sent out to the authorities, we put the world leaders, prime ministers, premiers, heads of state, they've all been put on notice. Nobody's replied at all. They were given a follow-up letter, which we've done. They didn't reply, which is great. So effectively, we have confirmed now our standing, and we're now going to use that and hold them accountable. But as I said just now, because we're doing that first, and that's great. In relation to yourselves and the Scandinavian countries who are speaking just now, it would be ideal to get you to obviously start the motion going, because if you start convening the courts, which is the first one, you get a couple of courts behind you, everything then follows on from that, the enforcement and the rest. But as I said, we'll help and assist with that as well.
Yes, John, a couple of weeks we spoke, a couple of weeks ago, and you were going to send us that paperwork that I think that's what you're referring to at the moment, is it? That we could serve on?
Yeah, well, it depends on what we've done. We've put in four of them this week. This weekend, I'm actually drawing up another 3. So what we're going to do is, the last week I've been tied up. This is at the premises anyway. Been working away. I've not been able to get to the phone. Now they actually came over. They were there for 2.5 days, so we couldn't do anything. We're tied up. It's been difficult because we've been trying to contact other individuals throughout the world as well and finish off this paperwork. The paperwork we've still got a few cases to do. But what we're going to do is, when they have this, we're going to have a template to deal with most issues. So what we'll do is we'll release that paperwork and say, look, here, now you can use it. So that will happen in the next week or so. As soon as we get this next case in, we've got to adapt the paperwork for each case. We'll make that available, and then you can start using this throughout the world. And we'll give you the exhibits, the additional paperwork and evidence to go in as well. So
Thanks,
we will get that to you as soon as we can.
Got a question for you, John, before you go, and we don't want to hold you up too long. Have you heard what's happening as regards Greg Hallett? We've seen quite a few interviews with him, and it's been really interesting. Has anyone rebutted what he said so far, to your knowledge?
No, not at all. Basically, Greg is self-paperwork. He'd obviously signed off documents and had certain documents witnessed as well, which is quite good. Now, it's confirmed his position, his standing. Having done that, he's sent it off to all the relevant parties. Obviously, the royal family in this country, the church, the Pope as well. Basically, I think it went to Putin and Donald Trump and all the rest of them. So the paperwork had went out. They've all been signed for, they've been received, and nobody's challenged anything. Now, the time to challenge it and rebut anything has now passed. So basically, he's confirmed his position. Now, I think what he's done is, because of the paperwork he'd drawn up, he's now arguing about various other points to highlight what the government and the royal family had been doing previously to the people. So he looked at that and got involved with, obviously, the Brexit agreement in this country as well. Trump himself, we've been told, obviously, because of the elections just now and the problems over there, and then you've got obviously the financial, I won't say meltdown, it's not, the reset, the financial reset as well. There's a lot of things going on just now, but obviously we've been told just now that certainly Trump's aware of what's going on, and I don't think he's objecting to anything. I think they're looking for assistance there, and I know that obviously there was a general from the army who's close, one of the close aides to Trump, has been speaking to Greg as well. So there are things going on just now, but Greg's putting together paperwork on that, which is why we had said to him, obviously having established the position in what you're doing, we need to clarify obviously what's happening in this country and in relation to the people, but he'd actually decided to create 2 proclamations. The proclamations he created, the first one was a 2-page one, and it confirmed that basically the authority lies with the people, regardless of his position or even the previous queen or whatever. He said it doesn't matter. He says the authority lies with the people, it lies with common law and the common law process. He then confirmed that, and the common law courts are superior to all other courts in the land, regardless of the type of courts they are. So you basically, it's maritime courts, you obviously statutory courts, court session, it doesn't matter what you do. He said the common law courts are superior, and what he also stated, that the enforcement team for the common law court, which will be common law constables, they are the superior authority regarding law enforcement. He's actually stated that all other law enforcement agencies obviously says, have no authority, or certainly says in comparison to the common law court constables, they have superior authority to everyone, including the existing police force. So that has been done by way of 2 proclamations, which we've got just now, which we're actually starting to put out to the authorities. We had one, it went in, there was a very quick case. They were trying to prosecute someone, and we had put in, before we got the proclamations, we put in some paperwork to assist this individual. Now, we knew that the authorities couldn't do anything about it, and we knew we'd be successful, but they don't give us hearings. But we put in this paperwork quickly to defend him, and he had a hearing, which was about 6 weeks away. And then when we put the paperwork in, they wrote back to immediately and said, look, we've got a hearing in 6 weeks' time. We've decided just to leave it. We're going to rush through a case. So we now require you to come in next week. And they give him 7 days' notice. And they say, you will have to attend in 7 days' time. So he got back to us and says, look, what do I do? And I says, fine. Well, we have additional paperwork now we'll put in. So they didn't respond to the previous letter that went in. They tried to rush through a case, and I think what they were going to do is make a decision and just get rid of it quickly, rather than getting into an argument. So we gave him that, but we wrote in with the second paperwork and says, look, as you failed to rebut or challenge the previous points, we're now going to confirm once again your position, which we did. And the position of the individual, the parties concerned, was that the court they were purporting to be was nothing more than a registered company. We gave them the company registration number. They had no authority or jurisdiction, which we pointed out. And just to clarify that and to add weight, we then gave them 2 royal proclamations. Now, when we gave them that, it had to go in on the Sunday because the case was first thing on the Monday. So we put that in on the Sunday by email and addressed it for the clerk to go in as part of the court papers. When the guy turned up on the Monday, he went to find out that he was up first at 10 o'clock. So he went to the clerk to say, look, can you confirm you got my email and it's been added to the court papers, the bundle? The girl went away and came back and says, well, I'm sorry, I'm not sure. He says, the email will be here somewhere, we've got it, but it won't be handed in time. It's not time to hand it in. However, he says, it's been noted you're not being held at 10 o'clock. They won't hear you till this afternoon after lunch. Can you come in at 2:30? She then waited, went in at 2:30. They then asked him to confirm his name and enter a plea, which he didn't enter a plea because he stated there was no case to answer. And they tried to proceed. So he jumped in. He says, look, before you proceed, he says, I had submitted an email yesterday. He said, for paperwork to be submitted. Can you confirm you have it? At which point the judge says, well, no, I don't. He said, well, it's not a problem because I have a copy here. So he went to hand it. He says, I'm not touching it. I don't want it. He says, I'm not accepting it. You haven't put it in. He says, I'm not taking it. Now, he knew exactly what it was because they got the email. He didn't want to put it in the case file. And as soon as he said, we give him a copy, he didn't want to touch it. He said, no, I'm not taking that. He said, look, forget it. I'm not dealing with it. He said, well, you have to deal with it because the paperwork went in. He says, so we'll discuss it. She says, no, I'm adjourning this. I think we'll adjourn it. We'll go back to the original dates. They knocked them back 5 weeks again. So we're now going back to the 15th of next month. Now, this was done simply because of the paperwork we put in. They can't deal with it. They can't challenge it. But now we're referring to the paperwork. It comes from Greg Hallett as well. So we're putting that in. They have no authority to deal with this. So the paperwork's going in. And that was only one case. And they tried to rush through quickly. They didn't know what was coming. But now we're using paperwork and hitting them in the courts. Now we just put another 4 cases. There'll be 6 or 7 more this week. And we're going to start using this abroad as well. So when we get these papers finished off this week and we get them registered, we will have obviously paperwork for different subjects. So therefore, if you have a motoring offence, if you have a property issue, if you have something regarding vaccinations or lockdown, we can give you the paperwork, tweak it slightly, and then it goes into your own courts. And we have everything here for you. But as I said, we're working on this just now. It's already been effective just now. We only just started this about a week ago, just over a week ago. The first one went in, and that was the first one, the first judge to get it, and he immediately ran. So he wasn't happy. We have an amusing case coming up shortly in the Isle of Man, which hopefully the next time we're in I might be able to tell you about. But it's an amusing case. I actually quite like it because for the first time ever, a newspaper, the mainstream media, they have actually covered the story about the common law court. So it's quite good. It's regarding a housing dispute, and a female she works for the Common Law Court as well. She's actually put in paperwork there, but the judge has ignored it completely. She didn't go to court, she refused to go. But what did happen is the judge ruled against her. So we're preparing paperwork just now. We're going to crucify the judge. This will be obviously apparent in a couple of weeks' time. We'll tell you what we're doing. But the judge, to give me his due, is the only judge that we've ever had that's tried to take on the Common Law Court. And he made an opening statement. He's lost on that alone. But she wasn't there to defend himself. So we're away to crucify him with this statement. So we'll shut him up. So it proves obviously what he's done. Well, then obviously it says highlight the position to make him look like an idiot. And then what we'll do is confirm our position and we'll look for the result. So I'm actually quite happy that the newspapers covered the article, which is great, and that the judge behaved the way he did, because they can't win. And he made a fatal error when he done that. So we'll highlight that the next time we speak, and we'll let you know what went on. But it's actually quite good. So there's a lot going on just now.
So he played into...
I've got to go. I'm sorry. Yes, I am losing power. John, just a very quick question. We've got a peaceful gathering for the people on the 5th of September. Are you able to get us some kind of paperwork from the Common Law Court to protect us?
Yes. What I'll do is we'll find out is probably around about this time. We'll see if we can get a hold of you during the week, and we'll have a chat and we'll find out exactly what you're dealing with, and we'll get some paperwork to help out as well. There's the guys in Scandinavia having a meeting coming up shortly, and we're preparing a PowerPoint for them to pass on as well. I think today in London, there's also a meeting in London just now, it may be taking place shortly. It's to do with medical issues, forced vaccinations and things like that, and various other medical issues just now, but there's quite a large protest there in London later on today. So we're quite happy to help you. But as I said, I'll have a chat with you, Jackie, during the week, and we'll draft something with you. Okay? Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you very much. Okay. Ciao, ciao.
Fine.
Jackie, we like your lighting. It's really good.
It's very glam.
She looks good too, yeah.
Oh, my candles. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a matter of asking. I mean, the court, the first case you talk about, really the only thing they can do is set that aside, can't they? That's the only real way that they've got.
It is, but they don't do that. It's just what they've done previously. Just ignore it, keep us out of court, and they'll try and go ahead and enforce it. But they can't. We will deal with them, so it's not an issue. But the thing is, they're going to look stupid. The judge that took this case just now, he referred to a case in Canada, the only case I believe worldwide that deals with the issue of say living men and women. It's a Canadian case, and it's called Mead versus Mead. Now, it was a couple, husband and wife, and I think it was to do with maintenance for a child. Now, I'm not getting into the dispute, and obviously I've got own opinions of this, but effectively what happened is they went before the judge, and the male had turned around and says he was a living man, he was a free man on the land, he had nothing to do with the state, and I'm not getting involved. You cannot issue an order against me, I'm not having it. The judge then called him, and I can't remember what it was, he gave him a term, which was 4 words, it's pseudo, I don't know, he called him a nut job. He said, basically, you're a nut job here. He says, the rules apply to you whether you like it or lump it. He says, free man on the land don't matter. He says, it doesn't matter. The rules are applicable to you, and that's it. And because of your attitude and your adopted approach, we're going to dismiss it. Now, that's the only ruling there is, but what the judge did, Niall Aman, is he turned around and referred to this case, Mead versus Mead. The paperwork that went in for the common law to confirm the position of the female had went in, but the judge didn't address any points. He ignored every single point, and he said that it was his belief that this female was a free man on the land, or free woman on the land, and therefore, he said the rules are applicable, and he's going to prosecute her. Now, that was it. Now, first of all, the important points to make, free men in the land are completely isolated from the state. They have nothing to do with the state at all, right? Now, they have nothing to do with the state, and they stand as individuals, a sovereign, right? Now, that's impossible to do that with the common law court, because with the people in the common law court, they interact every day with the state. So they interact, they make purchases in shops. They pay for goods. As soon as you do that, you interact with the state and you will be paying taxes. You will have paid taxes before. And the other thing about men and women under common law, they stand together as a group, not as an individual. They stand as a community. As a community, we have thousands of people stand under common law. So therefore, you're not an individual sovereign. You have confirmed your position by making a declaration of your birth. You stand in a common law group. You stand together, and you stand obviously as a community. But not only that, he says you do interact with the state. So for that reasons, the argument the judge gave, Mead versus Mead, is not applicable, and it will be thrown out immediately. He says now, on the point of what he's done, which has been unlawful, we're now going to point to quite a few other things to him. So we're going to get the paperwork done the next week or so and put it in. So it's going to be amusing. So we'll keep in touch and let you know what happens. But I'm actually quite happy and pleased that he did that. And as I said, we've got the press coverage as well. So we'll see.
Hey, look, London News, we're going to sign off now. We've got a really long conversation. It's been fantastic to see you again, John. Of course, New Zealand, everybody. So from now on, we're going to go talk. We'll talk off air about something anyway. I'm going to talk a load of rubbish. Anyway, John, thanks for coming all the way forward from Scotland. Thank you very much. So we'll go say goodbye to you now, and you can go off and carry on the good work you're doing over there. Bye for now, John.
Right. Bye-bye then. Cheerio, everyone.
Anyway, further to our conversation with John Smith, our friend Brian up there in Newcastle in New South Wales has got a large problem with our wonderful government here in Victoria. He's a great big fan of Daniel Andrews. He actually sent him some correspondence related to love, and he's now laughing his head up the back of the settee. So, John, but Brian, what is your problem with Daniel Andrews and Victoria, our wonderful government?
I've been getting the runaround with government departments, and if you go on to New South Wales Health, there's absolutely no phone numbers. The email addresses don't work, and one of the phone numbers I got does it converts over into Services New South Wales. And after having goodness knows how many arguments with people, I eventually got onto a website that allowed me to fill out for an exemption. So I filled out the exemption, booked a flight for her, got it all organised, and today the goalposts have changed again.
Well, I hope that sends a little bit of the information around the tubes, because when all this, what I describe as BS situation we find ourselves in, when this finishes, I hope in November, because the United States elections and Donald Trump has got victory again over those idiotic Democrats. And of course, you put the Democrats in the same category as Labour, nothing but the society records, the Labour Party, Whitlam, Hawke, and Andrews, they're all destroyers of our nations, and they're all communists. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. New stuff coming up on, I'll have to do it on fines and stuff. I hate doing it because it's nothing more than controversy, but we'll do our best to get that message across to you about the inept system which exists, and the fact that the private corporations are destroying our country, and the people who are out there promoting, you know, the Andrews government, if you like, well, you know, we've got to override them. But a lot of these people will end up before a jury in the near future. It'll probably be after Christmas before we get this going.